I have a few stories from my 30 odd years here on this planet. And they're fun, they're entertaining, but why should you care about any of them? Why? I could tell you about my day yesterday, and what happened, and how the weather was, and all the rest. And appropriately, you would not care. And I can tell you about my dinner perhaps, and I can tell you about waking up in the morning and how I slept, and appropriately, you would not care. These can all be parts of conversations, parts of this sharing, parts of this communing over what it is to be alive and how it is to be alive and all the things that we do talk about. But what is it that makes a memory, a story, anything really worth sharing, worth telling? But specifically, I want to talk about memories today, seeing as last week that we talked about the future and how to harness aggression and aim it towards the future to protect the future because you are vital and that is where you are striving for. But surely the person who is striving forward does not have time to look backwards. And that is not so. You see, there is also a healthy way of looking backwards. And it is not aggressive. Let's get that out of the way. If you are being aggressive looking into the past, then you are ruminating and there's probably a certain amount of unease or misalignment or something that's jarring, something that's just not fitting right, and you're trying to grit your teeth and accept it, and you're trying to be grateful for life, and you're... So, anger when aimed at the past, pretty much always a sign that there's something to be worked through, something to be integrated, something to be seen from the other side. I don't know. It depends on what it is, but let's recognize that that emotion tends to be negative when talking about the past. When talking about the future, you can harness it. Talking about the past, you've to move it differently. Because when we talk about the past, we're not talking about alive, anything that's happening at the moment. You have survived it. So the protective energies are no longer necessary. It's already come and gone. So the protectors, the defensiveness, the anger, the jealousy, the boundaries, like all of these things don't really matter anymore. Because you have survived it from a survival instinct sort of space. From that protector energy. You have your protector energies, we tend to call them negative emotions, and we have your positive energies, your childish, your fun, your joy, your creativity, your curiosity. All of these emotions are on this other side. Now, when we talk about the past, do we only talk about these positive, full of life emotions? No, we don't. We talk about the protective energies, of course we do. But why? Why do we talk about the past at all? So, one answer is to share in joy, is to share in just life. It's to share just happiness, excitement, curiosity, all of these things. Do you see this? Do you see how fascinating it is? Do you see me spark up? And that's where we're getting to something. Do you see my eyes start to twinkle when I start to talk about this stuff? I'm getting a real insight into who you are. I'm like, in this moment, in this context, yes, the story's coming in, but for us two right now, I'm getting a real sense of what gets your fire going, what gets the engines, what's the momentum you're kind of surfing on, like where you are and where you're traveling to. It's beautiful. So now we're getting somewhere. Why else do we talk about the past? Why else do we talk about memories? Why else do we share them? Because some of them are really sad. And again, it's always to see the other person, to truly get an insight into who they are, how they operate, where they are going, where they have been, how, the journey that it must have taken to get from there to here. All of this. What we are talking about when we talk about the past are values. What is of value here? Think of any striking image that has struck you in the last week. You will notice that there will be a value attached to it. This reminded me of family. This reminded me of community. This reminded me of solitude and acceptance. This reminded me of gratitude. This memory. I was just camping there for the last week, And there's one image that sticks out where I get to see a family, and it's a dad reading his book, and there's a daughter sitting beside him listening to music, another daughter going around hitting trees with sticks and just exploring nature. And I was just like, and it was just so, everyone was on their own energy, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So now, I don't know if that resonates with you, but do you see how that gives you an insight into perhaps what I value, where I am, what I'm paying attention to, what I'm looking to create in the future, all of these things. And yes, I can tell you that the weather was awful that day, and Jesus, it was atrocious, and we can make our fun jokes and, day for the ducks, and I'm glad I didn't leave the laundry out, and every other kind of colloquial sort of these memes, essentially, that get kind of woven in to just keep the momentum going. They're these innocuous, they're nothingness, but they do add a certain amount of entertainment, a moment of breath, a moment of breath to perhaps allow the other person to interrupt. So there's these little things. Now, growing up, I used to hate those innocuous little things where we talked about the weather and we talked about the ducks and the laundry, and I used to hate it. How the cold would get into your bones and in this weather. But it does also serve a purpose. But recognizing where the true value was, recognizing the noise from the signal, or the signal from the noise, recognizing that, like, the important part that I needed to attend to, and then recognize everything else as bells and whistles and all this indulgences, or just decoration that goes on top of the story, the connection, the thing that we're actually sharing, the values that we are communing over. I value this. Do you see it? I value it in this way. I identify, it pulls me, it grabs me. Do you see me? Can you work with me? Can we build something going into the future? Because you can't just separate the past from the future. It all links in. If we talk about values, then we're talking about what's moving, what's going into the future, what we're carrying with us into the future. So, with all of that said, I hope I have helped you to clarify what exactly we are doing when we share our memories. What exactly is happening when you're getting annoyed because people keep talking about the weather, and people keep talking about stuff that doesn't matter, and people keep talking, and you're just, I want real conversation, but I don't know. I know real conversation when I see it, but I don't know exactly what it is. I hope I've given you a little bit of clarity towards knowing what it is you are looking for when you are looking for real conversation. Now, of course, when I start talking about real conversation, I'm going to invite you to the workshops, because here we talk about virtues, and virtues, when everything is moving around you, is something solid in front of you. Imagine being in like a funny room, a house of mirrors, where everything's moving enough to make you sick, enough to make you nauseous, enough to make it just too much. Imagine just how nice it would be to have a table, or to have something that was just solid in amongst all of it, that you could focus there, you could rely on that, because no matter what way the future goes, no matter what values we bring into it, no matter like everything else, no matter where you end up, no matter what side of the coin you are on in this big roller coaster that we're currently in, that we've always been in, but the last couple of years, last century, there is something happening at the moment. Maybe you're sensing it. Maybe you're anxious about it. Maybe you're just wondering, like, geez, everyone seems a bit mad. Everyone doesn't seem to know where they're going. Having a good relationship with the virtues is that solid just thing you can rely on in front of you, even when the house of mirrors is going all over. You will want to be assertive, accepting. You want to be authentic. You want to be humble. You want to be courageous. You want to be wise. You want to be vital. You want to be honest. You want, I can go through the list, but you will want to be these things, and these things are not easy to be. They are not simple constructs. To be honest, are you being honest to be cruel? Are you being honest to share? Are you being honest to because you're kind of nervous and you need the reassurance? Honestly, that's what I meant. It's not as easy. When you dig into it, it's not as easy as you think. And recognizing what it actually is gives you, by recognizing you don't know what it is, you actually get a space where you're just like, oh, that's something permanent, that's something real. And you have real conversations around it. And when you walk around in the day-to-day, there's a certain amount of reassurance that comes from it. That is my sales pitch. I invite you to the workshops. Message me. I will add you to the WhatsApp group. And the workshops are on every Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening. And there's other people holding other different types of workshops, and they're exciting. It's a busy space. It's fun. But I invite you along. With all of that said, I hope I've helped you clarify what you're looking for when you're looking for these real conversations, looking for a conversation that is sharing a value, that isn't just valueless. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to the week to come. I hope you keep an eye out for these true conversations, these real conversations, these gems. You start to see them, you start to pick up on them, you'll start to get more of these real conversations. I know that to be true, but I hope you get a few. And with all of that said, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.